Is that Gordon? Yes, is that Gordon? The great Gordon Chang? Is that Gordon? Stand up, Gordon. Wow. We have everybody here.
CPAC Korea is now protecting the world's most vulnerable democracy. Leftists are trying to seize control of the government after the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol on December 14th. And now they have filed criminal charges against him for insurrection. The only thing that is protecting democracy in South Korea are conservatives in the cold, on the streets, confronting leftists on Seoul and Daegu and so many other cities. What's at stake? Well, nothing less than the continuation not only of democracy, but also of the South Korean state, the Republic of Korea. If you want to know where the front line of democracy and freedom today is, it is in the streets of Seoul. Now, that's the summary. Let's get started. And this crisis did not start in December with the impeachment of President Yoon. It did not start on April 15th, 2020 with the National Assembly elections, but today we will begin there. And on that day, in the election, it resulted in an uninspected, overwhelming victory for Minju, the Democratic Party of Korea. Minju won that election because of early votes in district after district tipped the results to the leftists. There were so many uniformly narrow victories that it was statistically improbable. As one observer said, either God did it or the election was rigged. I know God did not vote in that election, but the Chinese rigged it. The National Election Committee, what they did was they used servers from Huawei Technologies, the Chinese company, which Beijing was able to access. Also, there is reporting that the NEC cooperated with Tencent, the Chinese internet giant, to develop algorithms to switch votes that had been decided early. This election was stolen. In 2024, just like in 2020, we had unexpected results and a big Minju victory. They did it again. This is something that never happened before in South Korean history. So we know that they took that election from the conservatives. NEC, National Election Committee, in 2024, they even hired Chinese to count the votes. So what's the consequence of all of this? Well, Minju now controls the National Assembly, as they have for the last 4 years, but something else, and that is Minju is not a normal political party. Its leaders somehow seem to think that they are still in the 7th century when China's Tang Dynasty controlled much of the Korean Peninsula. So you have leftist leaders. They believe they are vassals of this magnificent Chinese state, or even servants of it. And they are now allowing Beijing to infiltrate South Korean society and to determine outcomes in South Korean elections. So the Chinese and their North Korean friends are now conducting their warfares campaign. There are 3 warfares: psychological warfare, media warfare, and legal warfare. And because of that, the Chinese have become extremely influential. Here's an example. In early December, when you had the big pro-impeachment rallies in Seoul, there were a lot of faces that were not Korean. They were like my wife's. They were Chinese. When the Chinese presence became a political issue in South Korea, what happened? The Chinese demonstrators all at once disappeared. How could that have occurred? We are also seeing strange-looking policemen on the streets of Seoul who are violent with no name tags. Maybe they're Chinese. We don't know for sure, but we can see that this is a time of unusual, certainly extraordinary events in South Korea. In South Korea, Minju, we now have a leader, Lee Jae-myung. He is just like previous Minju president with Moon Jae-in. Moon Jae-in was a communist. He did not believe in the South Korean state. He believed in a unified Korea, probably under the control of Pyongyang. Now, the current Minju president, he is even more pro-communist, he is more ruthless, he is more pro-China, he is more pro-North Korea, and he is more anti-American than Moon Jae-in. And what does that mean? It means that the South Korean state is at an extraordinary time. Now everything is at risk. Freedom is at risk, democracy at risk, South Korea at risk. And that means South Koreans can now lose everything. As that banner says, it's time to save Korea. Thank you very much.